Welcome back to Creep TV. It's been a second, and it looks like we are going to be covering a notorious classic, Urban Spook. We've talked about this before a little bit on the podcast, and there was a lot of visceral reactions when we discussed it. Mm-hmm. You laughed.
Yep.
People screamed and pleaded not to do it.
I just think it's a really good series, and I didn't want you to miss out on it, Hunter. And I didn't want our audience to miss out either on this fantastic writing. And no other reason I have to make you watch this on a video. So I'm just doing this out of my love for the arts and my love for you.
I want to say this is analog horror.
Yes.
Okay, so this is another analog horror type thing.
Sorta.
I will say, I'm just looking. There's only 8 videos, and some of the thumbnail art's pretty sick. The flower face, whatever, that looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Now, Isaiah, let me ask you this: is this AI generated?
No, that's the one thing I will give it. It's not AI generated.
Well, there you go.
It all seems original. The artist created all of it. And I will say that I do believe that the artwork is the best part of the series.
Yeah, his art is sick.
You haven't seen any videos of the series or anything like that, have you?
No. Nope.
Excellent.
The only thing I've seen is just recommendations on our subreddit for it, or sometimes like on the creepy. I think there's the analog horror subreddit. I kept seeing that, like the face of like that popular meme that popped up out of that, like the Grease one or whatever, like whatever it was. Looks like a guy screaming, the melted guy or whatever.
Oh yeah. People make like memes, like meme captions out of it and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, and I've heard people from those talk about that, or I see a lot of like the analog horror tier list rankings and stuff. I'm looking at his community post. His community tab, whatever, and he has like a little ADK, like, yeah, I have 80,000 subscribers, like post, like a nice like celebratory post, and the art's sick on it. Yeah, he's
a good artist. He's a good artist.
A lot of fun, creepy faces. I like ye.
Going into this series, just hypothetically, from what little you know about it, how do you feel about it right now? Before we begin,
Urban Spook, kind of like the name of it too. Urban Spook. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea really what to expect. All I see is just some fun art. So I'm hoping that it's just I'm guessing a neighborhood of sort gets plagued by some kind of creature. And I see a thing. I see a thumbnail that says Corey Beck, age 11. So I'm guessing that it maybe kills children.
That's nothing. That I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a thing.
That's nothing.
And you shouldn't worry about that. That's just a thing you put in a thumbnail to make people click on it. That's not gonna go anywhere.
God, I'm so stupid. It says, I was like, is this analog horror? All of his titles of his videos are analog horror dash like subject. Okay.
He did claim that he is from, I believe he's from Brazil, and that he didn't know analog horror was a genre. So that was his claim. That he just threw it in there because it's supposed to look like old VCR tapes. So
yeah, sure. Makes sense. All right, well, first one is called Analog Horror Faces.
Yes, we'll go ahead and get into that. Before we get into that, though, hold on. Let's pause for a second. I have a gripe with you all, the audience. So the last episode that went up before this would have been Stolen Tongues, and we recorded that before I left for the tour for the Stalker film, which thank you all so much for your support, coming out saying hi. It meant a lot. It was really cool to meet a lot of you. However, the number of you who had some problem with me regarding Baraska cannot be overlooked. I had at least 3 dozen people. They've got, the way the meet and greet works is people come up, they take a picture, they get a signed poster, and they've got like 15 seconds to say something. Far too many of you use those 15 seconds to bully me about Baraska. I can't. It's ridiculous. I can't. And you know what? You're welcome. You're welcome that I gave you a story that was that impactful, that meant that much to you, okay? And also, this one girl, I have to... close your ears, Hunter. You don't get this satisfaction. there was this one girl who came up on stage, and I'll have you know I'm married, by the way, right? This one girl came up on stage, and she was tall, right? And she was wearing like goth makeup and clothing. And I go, "Hi, what's your name?" And she looks at me and goes, Jacoby.
100%.
And I go, "No, it's not." And she gets right in my face and goes, "Yep." And then just doesn't say anything else to me the whole time. That's all. She just wanted to do that. Okay. And I felt attacked. I felt assaulted.
The Lord tests us in many ways.
No, it was not a test.
It was not a test.
That was an attack on me. Okay. And that you sent. I feel like you did this.
I didn't do it.
That was an agent of the devil. You are the devil. Okay.
Okay. How the shows seem to be going well so far, though.
The shows have gone great. You all are incredible. It was so cool. I've never done anything where I go up on stage and like talk to a group of people who know who I am and stuff like that. It was just so cool, and getting to talk about the film and seeing people's reactions to it, especially when people would like cheer during certain parts of the movie and stuff like that. It was so cool. Really, the feeling can't be replaced. And thank you all so much for that. Oh, there is one thing. Hold on, I have to grab something off camera. There is one thing I need to show. So a bunch of you gave me gifts, which you did not need to do. I do not deserve it. And a ton of those gifts were Creepcast references. So there were people who got me like little like artwork with like Baraska on it, or like the word Baraska or something like that. Not a drawing of Baraska, thank God. But there were a bunch of people who like got me little gifts like related to the show or whatever. And most of those I don't have with me because I didn't have room in my suitcase, so my friend had to mail them to me, and they're not here yet. But one thing I could carry with me, I can't remember who, but someone handed me this. You can't see this, Hunter, but it's a $1 bill that says 4 stamps across it. A ton of people got me stuff like that. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
So someone got me a teddy bear that has like Mr. Bear like drawn on the back of it and stuff like that, like all kinds of Creepcast stuff. So meeting you guys was awesome. The amount of support, it's really cool to like, again, start a show with a friend, and then it has the kind of appeal that it does. And I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. And to prove that gratefulness, I'm now going to show you all Urban Spooks. So
this is going to be bad, and I want you to...
No, it's not. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a great...
It's getting set up to be something horrible, and I just want you to know that the art looks good to me, so I'm stoked to watch it.
I'll also say this, that you thought Baraska was bad? You want to come at me about Baraska? Cool, here's Urban Spook. Go ahead.
All right, I'm pressing play. Let's go. The following footage may be disturbing to some audiences. Well, that's good. Oh, there you go. 6 months ago, police found 3 paintings stored away in an abandoned storage area, each titled after recent murders. That's sick. First victim was Carla Gray, found with 36 stab wounds to the face and all of her teeth removed. Owie. On the back of the first painting, the title Carla's Teeth was written. Not a very imaginative title, that's okay. This is the painting.
What's wrong, Hunter?
It looks so good. It's just so funny to be like, this is the disturbing photo. This is what it is.
It's just a really big smile.
The painting rules.
Toothy smile.
The painting is sick. I wonder if these are physical paint. Do you think he did these digitally or traditionally in
I think I'm pretty sure they're digital. I follow him on some social media and stuff like that.
Is it just under Urban Spooks?
That and Urban Slug.
An Urban Slug, okay. Because I'm going to say,
Urban Spook.
If he has any of these paintings up, I might have to get some for my studio. This is sick. This is a great bathroom piece right here. Second victim was Jackie Graham, found drowned with 27 stab wounds don't know how to say that. Also, I want to say that it would be a huge disservice to me and everyone else if I didn't mention that 200 Stab Wounds, the band, has a new album out right now, and it's very, very good. So please go do that. We're talking about all these little 27, 36 kind of stab wounds. Well, what about 200? All right, give the album a listen.
Do you know what the perineum is?
I have no idea.
Okay, it is the space between your butthole and your other thing.
your cocker.
Yeah, there you go.
So perineum is literally just a fancy word for taint.
Yes. Yeah. It's a medical word for it. Thank you.
They stabbed him 27 times in the taint.
It was a woman, and yes. I don't know. It's so funny, Hunter. This is a very serious crime.
It is a very serious crime. I'm not going to stab you anywhere other than the taint. He became known as the taint killer.
Someone's dead, Hunter. This isn't funny.
Yeah, whatever. She was alive during the stabbings. Well, yeah, I mean, her painting is titled Floating Jackie. This is the painting. It's a beautiful painting. I'm telling you, these are sick. I would not associate this with taint stabbings. I'm going to just say that right now. You know what I would have done? I would have done a bunch of bloody key locks.
Key locks? What is a key lock?
Well, it's supposed to be representative of like, you know, vaginas in a way.
Like a what?
So
you mean the hole that a key goes into?
Yeah, but a bunch of them.
Almost
as if he's drunk and he missed the keyhole a bunch of times, and that's what represents the stabbings.
Oh my gosh!
I know, isn't that horrible?
That's worse than this. My gosh!
I'm telling you, I think to me, I'm just like this. What is this? Evangelion? Looks like Evangelion to me.
I forgot who I'm talking. I forgot I'm watching the series with Meat Canyon. My bad.
Last victim was James Miller, found with his face torn off and his wrist slit open. Always like a nice rip face, like a torn off. Autopsy showed that James was alive for several days without a face. Boy, this is a bummer. The third painting was named James' Secret Face. If it's just a high definition picture of his asshole, I'm gonna laugh really hard. This is the painting. Ah, so sick. So the person who's a murderer is also a beautiful painter. 2 months later, several more paintings was discovered. However, the titles of these paintings did not seem to be connected to any of those cases at the time. Here are the other paintings and their titles. Wax Doll Tom. Okay, he's going fast. Never mind. Fuck Toy Corey.
That could mean anything.
Wax Doll Tom kind of looks like Art the Clown. Terrifier.
Yeah.
Lisa's Secret Face. Sweet. Hanging Jimmy.
Oh, Hanging Jimmy.
I feel like they could all make this sound.
Okay.
Scream Maggie Scream. That's fun.
It will
After going public with the case and sharing the paintings in hope of saving anyone that may be depicted, the police received 3 photos in the mail. All of them also titled. That'd be a great public, like a cops deal.
The way you got midway through that and panicked.
Nope. Oh shit. Fuck. The photos appears to depict the victims: James Miller, Jackie Graham, and Jimmy. So these are supposed to be photos?
These are photos, yeah. Who we saw paintings of earlier.
Looks like Jackie's doing that one game that kids do where they hold their breath and try to force the blood to their face.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing I thought of when I watched this.
Really?
No.
Oh. It's like, Jackie, breathe. She's like, one second. 1 second. My boy Jimmy looking frightened. If anyone knows anything about these photos or paintings, please contact 985-455-9560. One final painting titled Self-Portrait was found 2 days ago. This is the painting. It was labeled Spicy Tamale. I will say, as a start, pretty sick. I
talked about that when I talked about this. I do like the opening. It's a strong opener, I think.
I like all the I like the idea of setting up this world as a creepy, I'm guessing, albeit serial killer, but the idea of just a simple premise of a serial killer that's also doing paintings of his victims is just it's very simple and fun. I like that.
Yes, I did. I talked about it the same way. I like the premise, paintings of the victims. I like how typically we're not shown photos. I like how there's a dissonance between the photos we see and the painting, right? How like they look like these brutal bodies, but the paintings tend to be a bit more almost artistic expressions of what happened, stuff like that. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's like a surrealist approach to the photographs that we see, because the photographs are somewhat similar to the paintings, almost like he's using the paintings as the photos as reference material for those paintings.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. I like the opening. I think it's a strong one. We'll see how that continues into the next one.
Next up, we have analog horror, The Lighthouse.
I've also, if I sound a little like I'm kind of letting Hunter talk mainly about his primary feelings, in my video, The Best and Worst of Analog Horror, I give like a whole analysis of the series and how I feel about it and everything. So you can go check that out if you want more. This is all new to Hunter, so I'm interested.
This is my first impression, so I just imagine everything is going to be peppered until... we're going to be having little peppered conversations, and then at the end, I assume that you'll probably give me more of what you think to not spoil anything now.
Yeah, right. You get the vibe.
Viewer discretion is advised. How do you like my like true crime like?
It's actually pretty good.
Maggie she worked at an ice cream store before she met Jared from Subway.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's fitting for this. If we were talking about actual perennial stabbings, maybe not so much.
Okay.
But for this series, I think it's a good fit.
I think it fits pretty well.
I think you'd be right at home with a lot of true crime YouTubers who seem to put on a goofy voice for it and stuff. So
viewer discretion is advised. The Lighthouse, rated R. My boy looks... I would not trust that man. This man came to my door as a cop. I'd be like, no, thank you.
Absolutely not.
4 weeks ago, a police officer named Bill Collins went missing along with his wife and 2 daughters. Well, I wonder what happened, dude. Look at him. Good God. Shiny-ass nose, dude. Bill had previously discovered this painting in his home, clueless to how it could have ended up there. Imagine finding that.
What, just seeing that?
You're just like, oh, we moved into our new home. You open the closet and that's there, that painting.
If I saw that in my house randomly, I'd be like, oh, I guess Hunter came by.
No.
First off, you would 1,000,000% throw something like that in my house.
First off, I would say that's a painting is just too good. Like I couldn't paint that good. So I would say you need to run is what I'd say. You'd call me and be like, did you just pull a practical joke on me? Also, I'm getting really good at your voice, dude.
Every time you do an impression of me, it's a different part of the country. It's either like Kansas or like Florida.
Honestly, I've started to really hone it in though, and I'm very excited on it. Are you pulling a practical joke on me? You're always kind of up here.
Is that what I sound like? I got these long draw. Is that what I sound like to you?
Yeah, every time. You all are giving me the craziest gifts.
Am I just a stupid like dairy farmer?
Stupid. No, you're like
I'm just like I'm like
happy...
a dairy farmer from the 40s. What the heck is that?
What the heck is that?
If I wake up one day and there's a Meat Canyon cartoon and I'm in it and I'm like, oh, what is this all about? I'm
someone's gonna break into your house and they're gonna be like torturing you. Like, are you guys serious? Did you leave your shoes on? You're tracking mud all through the house. Is what it'll be.
I said you're making me.
Are you serious?
You're making me sound like every closeted church choir leader from the Midwest. That's what that accent sounds like.
Well.
Oh, is that what I am to you?
Okay. I don't know. I don't have that yet. Hey, to be determined. TBD.
Okay.
While searching Bill's house, the police found one of his daughters hanging by the neck from the ceiling in the attic. Well, that's not good. She was only 2 months old.
Is something funny, Hunter?
The baby was swinging in the attic, attached to the ceiling fan at the highest speed. So I just imagine it's like around the deal.
Just going so fast.
They're like, Jesus Christ!
Okay, audience. The reason this is funny is because it's so over the top.
Also, I like how they show a full picture of the baby, but they're like, we're not going to show its very human eyes. We can't let people know the whereabouts of this baby. I've seen that baby on the street before.
It's a protected person, but just like the black bar of the eyes.
He showed a full picture of the dad, but we cannot let people know the identity of this baby. The baby was being flung 50 miles an hour on an industrial fan in the ceiling. The Collins family's car was found 12 days later by the ocean side. Ooh, I always love shit like this, dude. Weird, family drowning type deal. Always horrifying. That looming feeling of like what drove the parents to do something like that. In the car, the police found a painting titled Long-Necked Angel. Angel was indeed the name of the youngest daughter found in the attic. Long-Necked Angel. Okay. I almost have a feeling we have to blur that. That is a phallic-looking painting. All right?
Oh, that's what you got out of it.
Look at it. Look at that right there.
It's a neck. It was hanging. It
would throw up.
Stretched the neck.
It throws up from the top of its head. No, okay. The search would lead to an old lighthouse standing just a few miles away from the abandoned car. The lighthouse hadn't been used for several years. Ooh, I like how it's barely on the door in the lighthouse. An abstract face was painted in red. Is it the same face? Has to be the same face. Ooh. Spooky. Inside, the charred corpse of a missing teenager named Daniel Williams was found. Police later proceeded into the tunnels under the lighthouse. Here, the police would find 2 more corpses belonging to Jennifer White and her daughter Lisa White. They had been missing for several months. For 7 months. Oh, shit. Lastly, the police found a moist barrel emitting a foul stench. Oh, jeez. The barrel was filled with mangled meat and bones. Tests later showed that it belonged to the rest of the Collins family. Ah. The test also showed extreme volumes of amphetamine. Photos of the Collins family moments before death was found scattered around the barrel. You ever see that movie Megan's Missing?
Yeah, that's the one where like the entire movie's really lame, and then there's like 2 pictures of her right before she's buried alive at the end of it.
I don't know. It was one of those movies where she's talking to like a guy online, and then like towards the end of the movie she meets up with him, and there's like a brutal. I remember I was like gratuitous, like not even horrible SA scene. That's just like you're like what the fuck is the point of this? But it just reminded me of that movie because I think that the guy kept his victims in barrels too or something. I don't know. Maybe it just made me think. I was like, oh fuck.
Don't they put her in a barrel at the end, or they bury her alive or something?
I'm pretty sure
like
they put her in a barrel and then they bury her alive. Yeah. It's just torture porn at the end, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember there was like 2 pictures of her like inside of some kind of harness, like she was being. I remember that, but I don't remember anything else from it. I don't even think I saw it. I think I heard someone talk about it and they showed those pictures and I'm like, well, that's kind of intense, but that's all I remember from it.
Feels like a classic case of in media. I think you can talk about and do whatever. Like, I think you can use anything for a narrative as long as there's a precise point that like leads to it. Like if things happen by byproduct to inform a narrative, or it pushes a narrative along, or gives like some extreme conflict. But in this movie, it felt like it was just like it felt like the only reason that a person would make this is because they are like fetishizing it, is what it feels like. Yeah. When it's only for the sake of being like, oh, isn't this so creepy or weird? To me, you're getting like a sick pleasure out of that versus it like actually adding literally anything to a narrative is how I see it.
Well, like if you're putting together a story and then you get to somewhere that has like a really extreme, something that members in the audience will probably relate to, or like, someone will relate to it.
Sure.
You kind of have, I think it's responsible to ask yourself, like, does this need to be in here? And sometimes the answer is yes, right? Like sometimes this is what your story's about. This is part of the theme. Go for it. Especially when it comes to like lost loved ones or something like that. Some stories definitely need that. But sometimes people add them because they know it's a provocative topic, and that's kind of exploitative, I think.
Well, I think it is exploitative, and I think that regardless if they know it or not, sometimes I think it's strictly I mean, it's fetishizing something horrible.
Yes, yeah.
Which is why some of these movies and some of these things feel so like abrupt. Like I could see why people find like Tommy Taffy or something like that, where it's like these like very hard subjects and stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's just, is it being provocative to add anything that's like even like emotional like baggage that people carry from these kinds of things, or is it just there because it's like, wouldn't that be fucked? And I think that's always the wrong way to go.
Yeah. Something funny, Hunter. These are photos.
These are photographs.
People. And this is fun. This is a photograph, Hunter, and this is funny to you.
Lastly, there was a fourth photo depicting an unknown face.
Just switches back.
So wait, hold on. So lastly, there was a picture depicting an unknown face.
Okay, all right.
Whose fucking face is this supposed to be?
We need to recap, right? There were 4 people in the Collins family, right? One of them was Long-Necked Angel, okay?
Right.
We've already seen her painting. So now there's 3 more photos of the dead that was found, because they found her body, the baby.
Yeah, so they're saying that
the
these
3
are like
others.
weird,
These are the
twisted,
3
demented
others
photos of the family.
That were shoved in there. But there's a 4th picture that no one knows where it came from.
Looks like the picture looks like the painting of the red woman.
What? No. What?
Looks like it to me.
This? What are you talking about? Whoa, that's crazy.
Oh.
All right. So, how do you feel about the second one?
It's okay.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, the names that were mentioned whenever they're running through, and it's a little strange to me how it's like, we have a murder investigation, and there was a child that died. She was only 2 months old. And then we go to like, the family's car was found, and the police go into a lighthouse, and inside of the lighthouse, there are 3 other bodies completely unrelated to this case. Now, those other bodies are actually mentioned in the first video. Like, you can see in the thumbnail, Daniel after the fire. Mm-hmm. The name of the corpse that was found in the lighthouse that had been burnt to death was Daniel. And the 2 other women that were mentioned, the mother and daughter, they're also faces that appear in the first episode. So we technically see, like, the killer's drawings of them. So they are alluded to in that sense. But at the same time, it's like we have the whole story of the Collins family, and then we incorporate 3 other bodies in there just for set dressing, kind of. And then, like, you know, the family's found as like human soup inside of a barrel, and stuff. It's just it's pushing a little bit, because I agree, the opening has room to be like, oh, there's some disturbing kills, we could get something out of it. And then I think there's a total of 9 dead people in the 2 minutes of the second one, or 8.
Yeah.
So
I like the
1, 2, 3, 4.
I like the
7.
aspect. I like how
people,
every video is a new painting, aka new victim. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm finding very fast is it feels like it's just going to be one note the entire time of like, we found this person. They were, you know, I don't know, like they were shish kebabbed to death.
What are you talking
or whatever.
about?
And then it's
that's definitely not words. That's definitely not words.
I'm going to keep going. The next one is In the Walls.
Hold on, let me ask you this real quick before we start. How do you feel about the photos being shown?
I don't like them. I think it should have just been paintings.
Okay. I agree. That's one of my biggest complaints.
The paintings are so stylized, but then now the photos are just as cartoonish as the paintings, and it makes like
yes. Oh my, thank you.
That's
the exact same thing I said in the video.
Just take even if you have to like. My criticism is, even if you're like, hey, take out like almost like autopsy photos where you don't. It's like no one's wearing any clothes, right? But whenever you take a picture of someone's face, you can tell like, oh, they're not wearing a shirt or something. Yeah. You could have gotten some people just taking a photo of them in like various poses or whatever, and then just manipulated that in like Photoshop to be, I don't know, to have like more of the grain or whatever else that you're going for. I think would have been better, but I think the over the top surrealist that are supposed to be real photos kind of took me out a bit. Also, the redacted bar over the baby's eyes killed me. Thought that was funny, and now I'm only ever gonna look at that baby as swinging around the room on an industrial fan.
It's very mature of you.
Corey Beck, age 11. Margaret Beck, age 11. 10 days ago, the Beck twins went missing. This is going to go into child. Yep. Okay.
What? No, it won't. What
This
gives
is
you that
exact-
idea?
this is why-
You're so silly. You're so silly, Hunter. Why do you-
5 days later, their bodies were discovered inside an abandoned paper mill factory.
We all have one.
It's always like a paper mill. You ever notice that? It's always a paper mill.
Yeah, it's a paper mill or like a sugar mill or something
Yeah,
like
some
that.
kind of. It's a mill.
Yeah,
Mills
it's a mill,
refuse to stay in business now. However, the state of the bodies were found in a gruesome condition. Only the upper body of Margaret and the lower body of Corey could be located. See, I like this. I like this weird, almost like, and you know what's kind of fucked up, and this is kind of narcissistic of me to say. I kind of wish it was almost like a true crime kind of like approach to this.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That the parts where it feels like we're watching an internal police memo.
Yeah, just something.
Yeah.
Something where it's like, yeah, this is evidence or something where they probably would show this like to brief people on what's going on.
Minus the scary music. Yeah.
Yeah, without the droning music or something like that. Which honestly, if it was just room noise, it would probably be a lot more unsettling as well. And you could have like random sounds or whatever. Also, these could be recordings of the police talking about it, like they record it for whatever.
Their audio recording stuff. I will say, I will add this.
Meetings or something.
I think, if I recall correctly, Urban Spook also does all of the music for.
I mean, the music is. Well. I like the music, like the weird kind of atmospheric droning, almost like. I always call it like stuck in a well. Is always what I call it. Kind of.
I just agree. I agree with you that it would work better if it was treated more sterile. If it was almost like we were watching like a briefing of all.
Well, it's because
stuff.
you're getting all the information you're giving to is all. I mean, like a police report. He's giving you the exact facts of what's going on in these horrific cases. There's no other emotional tie-ins, so having it be from a police report, which maybe that's what he's trying to go for here, but I think the presentation needs to reflect that.
I actually think, let me make sure I'm right about this. I think in the description for the first video, there is a kind of like explanation of why this is happening. Let me look. Yeah, so the description of the first video is, I just started converting VHS tapes to digital, and I found a bunch of tapes in the basement of my apartment complex. This was on one of them. So the idea is these are just like VHS tapes they found, hence the analog part of the analog core. But again, it's like, okay, then who made these tapes, right? Because it's not an internal police memo because there's too much weird stuff. So what was the purpose?
It'd almost be kind of cool to, which I don't know if I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but as of now, the second tape literally starts with a family where the dad is a police officer. Might be interesting if he moved into that officer's house since they passed away, and now it's like it starts with his death, but it chronicles back to like all the stuff that he was reporting or doing.
Yeah.
Might have been kind of cool. The twins' bodies had been sewn together in a sloppy manner. Oh, that's sick. That's fun.
It sure is, buddy.
The rest of their bodies have still not been found. Margaret's neck and jaw was broken in several places. Clay brick had finally been shoved down her throat. Oof! The word meat had been written on the brick. Yeah, this kind of like weird Zodiac kind of like messaging and stuff and like these police reports. I'm telling you, it would have been sick if this was just police, just some kind of like police documentation, found footage almost. Boy's genitalia had been removed by pulling force. Ow. Stretch your cock like that, owie.
Hearing that in that voice is so funny.
1 week before the disappearance, Corey had been dared by 2 of his friends to spend an hour in a remote cabin near Tiger Lake. Just an hour? You got attacked in an hour? God damn, dude. They were hungry. Cabin. Allegedly, Corey went inside alone with his digital camera while his friends waited outside. After just 4 minutes, Corey ran out screaming that he had seen a face. According to his friends, Corey's left arm was badly bruised. While investigating the cabin, police found a wardrobe connected to a crawl space inside the walls. Corey's camera was found on the floor inside this open wall cavity. Ooh. This is what was on the camera. I'm guessing looks like a tunnel or some kind of like cave, maybe?
Yeah. Could be that, or like the unfinished area beneath like a
crawl space or whatever.
Yeah.
Boy, Corey's a real photographer, huh?
Yeah, he's very talented.
I mean, that's fun. Little music sting there too.
It is fun. Do you think the photo works here as opposed to a painting?
No, I think that I think all the things that these photos need to all be very realistic, or like this needs to be shrouded way more in darkness to hide kind of the because this is a painting.
This is a painting, yeah, but
this,
in the
this
story,
is a painting,
this is a photograph.
But it's a photograph. But that's what I mean is like that, or I think you gotta commit fully. Like I think that if anything, it would have just been like all the film was removed, but we found these paintings or something. Like I think you gotta lean into the painting side of things. The face is believed to be connected to the disappearance of Corey and Margaret Beck. If you recognize this person, please contact 985-455-9560. Yeah, I think I like this one better than the last one. I like the whole the very creepy idea of like sewing people together. The only problem is it all feels so kind of like random.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish
it's all very scattered. Yeah,
almost like something like once again shooting from the hip here. I haven't finished it, so who knows? If the whole thing was that each person had their blood drained and that they painted everything in red, almost like that the person was draining people's bodies for more paint and stuff, would be and the person's doing portraits with their blood and stuff, gives a bit more, I guess, reasoning to be like, yeah, he kills people because he wants to paint them, and it's kind of like a weird artistic expression or something, which you get a little bit, I guess, with them sewing it to, like him cutting the people in half and sewing them together. You could maybe see some kind of like artistic maybe comprehension that the person is using, but right now it just feels where it's just like, isn't it fucking creepy that the fucking baby was put on a fan and flown around the room? Oh, isn't it crazy?
Did you add the fan part? I can't remember if that was in there or not.
The fan was definitely in the story. I didn't add that.
Okay. I will say, do you think, because you see Corey and Margaret, that they were 11 years old, and then you remember what Corey's painting was tiled in the first episode, right?
Right.
Do you think that is a necessary inclusion
for the first episode?
More so just like using an 11-year-old and then like being like, oh, this child their body was brutally, molested and whatever.
Sure. Well, I mean, that once again, that all goes back to what is the point? If the whole idea is something that loops back in with possibly the serial killer having that happen to him, and he's like now like kind of like tragically.
Yeah, if it goes somewhere.
If it goes absolutely nowhere, then no. It just feels like it's just once again kind of like, what, isn't that crazy? I bet you're disgusted. It has to lead somewhere, which is once again like, and it could
brutalizing children. I bet you don't like that, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I bet that really freaks you out.
I bet you say no, sir, to that.
Which once again, though, it could be, even if it's as simplistic as like a guy who had somebody in his life, he took fucking painting lessons from somebody who did that to him or whatever, and this is his like demented way of like retelling that, or like kind of like his way of processing these things. Like there are ways that you can set up a story structure to where it's like, of course he would do that, because like how he's processing these kinds of things and how he like the way that he's views children, or does he even feel like he grew up? Like there's like ways that you can, I think, convey a story to make it like not feel so random. But I think you gotta get there quick, or else immediately you're just kind of like, oh, okay. So it's just like, oh, yep, there's that. It kind of feels cheap. It gets cheapened. The more that you don't like start revealing your hand a bit more, I think that the more it feels a bit cheap. Because once again, really like the idea of a killer going, killing people, painting them, but it's just a matter of why. Because there's always the biggest thing I will say to people is there's no story that means nothing. Like there's no a story. It doesn't work because because I thought it was cool. A story usually has a point, some kind of narrative that you're getting at, regardless, maybe subconsciously or not. But there is like a poignant thing that like a story is trying to achieve when it does it successfully. So if the entire premise of your story is, well, wouldn't that be creepy? It's going to lead nowhere, and it's going to get very stale and shitty. So things need to like unveil. Like there needs to be something that like grabs you. Like characters need to have motives, and people need to grow, change, do all these different kinds of things. And and I think you can capture that through analog horror with police tapes, because your police tapes could slowly like piece things more together. It's kind of like in real life serial killers, like the BTK or and other people. They would leave evidence of things behind, of like things they liked, bits of information about them, because inevitably people that are doing these things are kind of narcissistic, like they're crying for help, and I think they want to so desperately like have you talk about them, and I think they want you to like know more about them. And I think that a lot of them are like they feel like almost like tortured, especially BTK was like a tortured poet. He was just a shitty poet guy. He's like, I just want to write poems, and you're just like, you're a fucking idiot. But he but I think you need to like put more of that character in there. Granted, it is spooky with it when things are just so nonsensical, but if that's the case, then too, I think you need to get to that point as well. So I don't know. I'm rambling, but that's just where my thoughts are at right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's if it goes somewhere, like I said earlier, sure, sometimes the story needs it, and if it doesn't go somewhere, I think it's just like offending people for no reason.
Yeah, and there's a lot of media that I think people would think that that's the case, but that's just not true. Even something as ridiculous as like a Serbian film has like a crazy artistic merit to it that is all based around cultural stuff going on in Serbia at the time. And like the craziness of that film is influenced by the censorship that was happening in the country at the time, and like political campaigns and all kinds of things that maybe you don't even know of, but it's there. And out of context, you could be like, this is just gruesome to be gruesome, but whatever.
Yeah.
The following footage, okay. Private investigating Sean Kane have been helping police to locate victims connected to several paintings. Oh boy, looks constipated. The last body he found before his disappearance was the body of Tom Harris. The killer had The killer had climbed the killer had climbed
the
drain pipe up to the 3rd floor and entered Tom's apartment through his bedroom window.
What is with hold on, pause real quick. What is with you? Like, anytime you have to read text, normally it's impossible, but if you're playing a role, you could read an encyclopedia. Fine.
I don't know.
It's like you switch into a brain mode where you're just like perfect.
I feel like I might be dyslexic.
Unless you're playing a character, then it goes away.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just because I read things in, like, when I'm voice acting, I have to read scripts, and that's the only time I read. Maybe, who knows?
You're playing a character without dyslexia, so it just goes away.
A character who doesn't have dyslexia. Perfect. In the living room, a pile of hardened candle wax was found. Oh, that's fun. No, for real, look at it. Inside this pile of wax was the body of Tom Harris. The cause of death was suffocation from wax. That's sick. That's a fun
How do you get... Okay, yeah, you're right.
You don't
just
like that?
Just the concept of, like, you climb up a drain pipe with enough wax to bury someone.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a lot of wax. I mean, like...
a lot of wax.
Like 2 tons of wax strapped to his back. He climbed up the rusty drain pipe. It's fun. It doesn't seem plausible, but it's still fun. Tom's arms and eyelids had been cut off. That seems excessive. Goddamn, you're already burying the guy alive.
That's excessive. The arms and eyelids are excessive.
He's like, see, he put it there. A 3rd arm could be found inside the pile of wax. So the guy carried 2 tons of wax and a severed arm.
Extra arm, yeah.
We still do not know who this arm belongs to. Tom Harris. Once again, is this a painting of him or supposed to be a photo?
I think this is supposed to be a photo. I'm pretty sure. Because we saw the painting in the first one, Wax Doll Tom.
I don't want to diminish the guy's painting abilities because it's fun. Like, I mean, I like this guy's stuff. It's very, very fun. But at the same time, it's just make it paintings. It's just so obvious it's a painting. So if this is supposed to be a photo, it just doesn't read. I love it. His use of red is always very fun. 1 week later, investigator Sean went missing from his home. I have to poop. Neighbors of Sean notified police after hearing his dog bark for over 9 hours. Jesus. I'm gonna have to go over there and say something. Honey, don't go over there. This is bullshit. Sean knows I didn't want him getting that goddamn dog anyways. Sweetheart, please. No, I'm going. Inside, police found a horrid scene. The dog's legs had all been broken. Although dehydrated and suffering, she was still alive. Woof! Woof!
We broke the dog's legs.
I broke the dog's goddamn legs.
They broke his leg.
They broke his legs and he didn't even give him any water. He was dehydrated to all hell. You know, I would never do that to my fur baby, right? My little doggo. You know what I would do instead? I'd boop his snoot, right? Blood trails can be found leading from the bedroom to the kitchen. The only clue police could find was that Sean seemed to have deliberately painted the number 2 on the doorframe with his own blood.
Jeez, I wonder what that could mean.
What does that mean?
Okay, let's put it in a scenario. If you came to my house and I had been brutally murdered,
Sure.
right? And in my last moments, I used my own blood to draw a 2. What do you think I'm trying to tell you?
So you just got brutally murdered.
Yep.
And you're like, Hunter, and you fall down, but you draw the 2 on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't
hurt yourself.
I gotta be honest, I'm not sure. I don't know. Second floor? 2?
Sure, babe.
Okay. Inside Sean's bedroom, police found a new titled painting, clearly resembling Sean. Is it that obvious? I don't think I'm supposed to know what that means.
Okay.
All right, fine.
I won't write that if I'm being murdered.
This is the painting and its title. Is it 2?
No. This is Sean, the guy.
The man in the pipes. Beautiful smile, honestly.
Is that what I look like when I smile? My lips?
No, your lips are much fatter.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The perpetrator had entered Sean's house through the basement. Luckily, Sean had surveillance camera installed just a few days earlier. Even though the camera had been destroyed, it still caught a photo of the perpetrator. This is the photo. I don't like that.
Why don't you like it?
It's just it's too much.
What? What do you mean too much? No way.
It almost feels like
photo,
a frog.
Hunter.
It feels like a frog.
This is a photograph, Hunter. This is.
Does that look like a frog or not? I mean, doesn't it look like a frog?
It looks like an animatronic. It looks like Freddy Fazbear.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Almost like the animatronic without the like the mask on or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, what's funny about this one to me is that they find the picture of the guy and it says man in pipe and they never find his body. Do you know where his body probably is?
Maybe the pipe.
Maybe the pipe. They never check. That also never comes up again, by the way.
They never found the guy's body in the pipe?
No. They never find him, yeah.
Well, it could be any pipe though, right?
Oh, well, in that case, yeah.
Or maybe it's the second pipe. Is that the number 2?
Also, I can't even, I know we just watched it, but was there a connection to the guy found in the wax and man in pipe? He was investigating, right? The man in the pipes was the one investigating the wax guy. Is that right?
Sean was the guy in the pipe. And then Tom was the guy in the wax.
In the wax. Was Sean investigating Tom? Is that what it was?
I think that they were both investigating it.
Okay.
If I remember right.
Then they both died. Okay. And Sean's dog got all its legs broke.
Yeah, Sean's pupper booped his snoot and he got his legs broken and he was dehydrated. There was no baby in any ceiling fan and no barrels of funny faces, monkeys in a barrel.
Yeah, so I went back to the beginning. Sean Kane was investigating the Tom Wax case when he disappeared. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
This one's called Witness is the next episode. 3 days ago, Tina Rosenberg was reported missing along with her boyfriend and younger sister. Like, this is obviously a photo, you know?
Yeah, it's a picture. That's a good picture.
Her boyfriend, that's her boyfriend? God damn, what is the age difference there? How old would you say this person is?
I would guess her to be like 20, maybe.
I was going to say
maybe. She could be like 23, maybe, you know, like young.
My gut instinct was immediately 20. And then we have fucking Steve Wilkos, her fucking boyfriend. My God. 53. Her boyfriend, 53-year-old Jack Stryker, wanted to take Tina on a South Coast road trip for her 20th birthday.
Oh, 20th birthday. 20th birthday. Okay.
Good call.
Yeah. We were on
Look
it.
at that.
Yeah.
There's no way Jack is in his 40s. Jack, I mean, that is.
Well,
you know what? I would
on,
say 44.
You're not factoring this in. Jack is a YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
he likes them young.
No,
He can't help himself.
Okay.
Oh, he said it. He said it. He called one out. Get him.
Flora Rosenberg, the younger sister of Tina, was also invited for this road trip.
Yay, more children into this series. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Jack, Tina, and Flora. Jack looks hauntingly old.
Yeah.
Jack's car was found 2 days ago in the woods. Ugh, is that a Honda Odyssey? Ugh, there were signs of struggle inside the car.
Okay,
I still Ryan Reynolds always kind of talks like this, and everything's kind of sarcastic and beneath him. There were also a painting.
That was actually, what you just did was actually like a perfect Mark Wahlberg impression. The way he talks.
Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, and all his stuff. He's like, hey, I'm just saying, buddy, I don't want to get in a fight.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do this, but I will if I have to, all right?
That's Mark Wahlberg for sure, yeah. Hey, I'm just saying, if I was on the plane on 9/11, things would have went different.
That's one of my favorite quotes of all
That's
time.
so funny. What a funny quote.
Also,
just
like
to
how
be
he
like,
refuses
I
to
would've saved it.
apologize to the Vietnamese man that he blinded.
Yeah.
He's just like, will you just say sorry, Mark? He's like, no, I prayed.
I prayed. I go to church every day. God's cool. God's cool with it.
You know, if I don't have to apologize to God, I don't have to apologize to the Vietnamese man I blinded. I punch him in the face for hate crimes. It's not a big deal. All right? Oh, my God. Flower Face Flora. That might be one of his best paintings so far.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Flower Face Flora is really good. While searching the car, police heard screaming from the depot within the woods. Oh, so then maybe we get a little eyewitness thing here? Police followed the screams until they found a grisly sight. I like in the mix in the back, just the screaming.
Yeah.
Tina was found tied to a tree with her feet and arms cut off. She was still alive and conscious. The mutilated corpse of Flora Rosenberg could also be located. Her head had been smashed in with a hammer.
What noise did you make?
Huh?
You made a... Oh, I thought you were making a weird noise or whatever.
Yeah, I did.
How do you feel... How do you feel
that.
about this photo?
I think as a painting, it rules. Don't like it as a photo.
I agree.
I don't like it as a photo, too, because it's just like... why would they not focus the photo?
Why would they not focus it? Also, you already showed us the painting. Just let us imagine. Just say that her head was beat in with a hammer, and let us imagine what the head looked like.
Yeah.
Based on the painting. Yeah.
Tina told the police that the murderer was still around somewhere. However, no one could be found. After escorting Tina from the scene, the police returned to the car and found another painting. So a new one? They returned back to the car?
So they go to the car. They find Flower Face Flora.
Yeah.
They go into the woods. They find Tina still alive in Flora's body. Then when they come back out, there's another painting.
Okay.
Yes. So the killer's still around.
The painting had just been up there. The title, Long Jack, had hastily been written on its back.
Well, let's hope Jack's okay.
I think Jack's fine. He doesn't look too bad in this painting.
I think he'll be all right.
Jack actually died of natural causes of a heart attack because he was 63 years old.
He was an old man trying to keep up with these young bucks and died in the woods.
He could not do it. Jack has still not been found. In Tina's own words, this is what happened that night.
I remember waking up in the car. Jack was gone, and I could hear someone approaching. Next thing I remember, I was tied to that tree. I was injected with something. I could hear my sister screaming. She was screaming for our mom. Oh, Flora.
Kind of crazy to think that she's saying this without arms or feet.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was
she's
like,
just like
she's sitting there.
She's like a
She's
little
sitting
ginger.
there armless.
Yeah, a little ginger root. A little ginger root just sitting there on the ground, right? A little sweet potato.
My little ginger root. Yes, my little ginger root. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone.
I don't know. I remember whispering. And her face. Oh, God. Her face.
This is a police sketch of the murderer based on Tina's description. Markiplier.
Let me in now.
And it would be nice.
This kind of looks like that right here.
It does actually kind of look like it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Long legs. Also, I saw the movie Cuckoo. You see that yet?
No, it's by the same studio, Neon, right?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's all right.
Well, you also said Long Legs was all right, and I loved Long Legs. So.
Long legs. Every time I think about it, the worse it gets.
I love Long Legs. I love it so much. Let me in now, and it would be nice. I love the aesthetic of it. I love all of it. Yeah, you're just wrong on that one, I think.
I think visually,
you are going to get jumped in the comments already for saying anything nice about Urban Spook, but I hope you get jumped more for the Long Legs thing.
all in all, I just gotta say, beautifully shot film. Beautiful, a lot of beautiful shots. I think the Nicolas Cage thing. I wanted to see more of the puppet stuff. I think the puppet stuff was the coolest thing about it. They had Nicolas Cage be all weird and stuff like that. I think that's, whatever, that's fine. I think the meme of the "let me in now" thing, I think that's like not even the, I don't know. It just, movie, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's all I got to say. And also I got to say the next one that we're looking at here is Pigs. There you go, Pigs.
Yeah. Don't worry, here we go.
It's a great way. I like that noise. Former police officer Ian Ford and his wife May was recently reported missing. Wife May. When police went to their farm to investigate, they found an awful stench coming from the barn. Inside, they found the brutalized corpse of May Ford.
Jeez, what happened to May?
She had been handcuffed to a pole inside one of the stalls. However, her hands had been ripped right off. I'm guessing she was eaten by pigs.
You wish.
Even though her body had been badly mangled, tests showed that she died from internal bleeding. Maternal bleeding, huh? A dead corpse would be found within the same stall. I don't like that. If that's supposed to be a photo, that's just
I think it's supposed to be. Yeah.
The cause of death was heart failure due to overdose.
Sildenafil.
Inside the milk house, police found a bloody mattress. God, this music is like so.
What? The music's what?
Sildenafil citrate was found scattered around the mattress, along with used bandages and packets of penicillin. Someone had been sleeping, basically. Okay, the decapitated head of the Ford's granddaughter was found wrapped in a blanket. Could you turn down the music just a tad while I'm recording this? The head of Fiona's Ford. Meh. The worst smell came from within the second stall of the barn. What? Several faces were found down to the walls inside the stall. Jesus Christ! Just turn down the mix. Some of them belonged to previous victims. Malformed beyond recognition. Just turn it down. There were also several decapitated pig carcasses.
It's like a police chief giving a briefing in a hurricane.
Exactly. Marty, turn it down. In the middle of the stall lay an abnormally large pig. Its belly had been sliced open, and they stitched it together again. Stuffed inside the pig carcass, the police found the corpse of Ian Ford. Marty, just lower the mix. It's too loud. The pig's eyes have been cut out and replaced with the eyes of Fiona Ford. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I don't know why it's so. Inside the tack room, police found the rest of Fiona's body along with several disturbing paintings. Oh, God. Oh, God. These paintings depict Fiona and Ian May, along with an alarming amount of other victims. Be warned, these images may be very distressing.
I hope it drops into like a beat.
Yeah,
like bump, bump, bump.
Yeah. Here are the paintings of their tattoos. Breeding Mount May. So here's the thing. We saw a photograph of a guy stuffed in a pig, and this is the one that we got a warning about. You better watch out. These are fucked up.
Well, no, that's the That's the first lady who was dead. You caught how she died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, internal bleeding, dead
Yeah,
horse
she
next
got,
to her.
she
Jeez,
got,
what
she
happened?
got, yep.
Yeah.
Wet Skin George. The Jigsaw Baby. Ian the Pig. Ian the Pig painting goes hard. Four holes. Wonder why the numbers are repeated like that.
I think it's supposed to convey desperation. I'll also say a few of those paintings we've seen before, like Tina the Witness is obviously Tina who lived through the last one, right? But why does she have a painting if she's still alive? That doesn't really make sense.
Maybe he thought that she was gonna be dead.
Maybe, yeah. But then why'd he title it The Witness? Maybe he titled it after she lived. Who knows? Whatever. But
A heavily damaged tape was found in the mud outside the barn. Even though the tape was almost completely destroyed, police were able to recover some of the footage. This is what was on the tape. Okay.
What'd you think of that video, Hunter? That video at the end? You didn't like that video at the end?
Is it supposed to be real? I just don't know.
Yeah. It says it's a videotape that was found burnt. Yeah.
Yeah, just the animation stuff mixed with that, it just doesn't read very well.
Yeah,
that's
I
my
agree.
That's like the biggest criticism I have of this is that it could work. It's just you only need to do the paintings. Like if the whole thing too is you're like I like painting this stuff and I want to make the videos around it. You should just lean into that way more. And then if anything, see if people can help you. Maybe like do the live action stuff if you feel like it's necessary to incorporate that stuff. But trying to blend the two, it just makes it. Because then there was a couple parts where I was even like, oh, is this supposed to be a painting or is this supposed to be live action? Like, oh, okay, it's on a tape, so I'm guessing it's supposed to be live action. Or oh no, this is a painting. It blends it too much together for me.
Plus the whole sequence. I know it was hard to tell through the hurricane that you were reading through, but the way it's like May was found in the barn and she was gored and there's a dead horse and also there was a decapitated child. That child's eyes were inside of the pig. Inside of the pig was a guy named Ian, and then there's a bunch of other heads around there and then paintings of other people. Like it's just like it's like a flashbang of gory images that don't really connect to anything.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean that's the problem now is that we're going to be watching our 7th video and I still don't have any motives to why this thing is doing what it does.
There's no reason. There's no explanation. It's just like here's some scary stuff. Here's some stuff that died. Isn't that
even
scary?
if it was something where it was like you could if it was a little more controlled or something like if it was a town, right, you could be like, okay, well, that's interesting, something in this town is doing this, but it's like kind of all over the place. It's not really like I have no indication to feel like it's just plaguing these kind of people's.
It mentions a lot about it attacking police officers. Like police officers dead. Ian was a former police officer, but the other times it attacks like Flora or Corey or stuff like that, and it's just like unrelated to anything. It doesn't really make sense. It's all around. Yeah. So
okay.
I don't know.
Next one is called Family. This is also the second most popular one besides the first one. This one right here, Family, by the way. So this is a popular one. Do you think is the analog horror craze, is it kind of dying down, you think? Or do you think it's
okay, so analog horror is a misused term. True analog horror is stuff that's built off of analog technology, like Gemini Home Entertainment, Local 58. People just kind of broadly apply analog horror to everything. Online horror thing. Right. Like early Mandela catalog had analog horror for sure, but now pretty much none of the modern does it. People call Kane Pixels analog horror. It absolutely isn't. There's nothing analog about it. No, so Are there less actual works that are true analog horror? Yes. But I mean, YouTube horror is still doing really well, I think.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I guess that's just like a term. I feel like there for a while, it felt like there was a lot of it. Especially like a lot, almost like early days of creepypasta where people were like excited about this new thing. So I didn't know. Because, Kane Pixels, I think, just got thrown in. But I think it was just because I think people misconstrued like the found footage style that he was going for as analog, you know?
There was... I got a comment when I made the video about Urban Spook that I thought was pretty well said. They're like, Urban Spook is pretty much analog horror hitting its photorealistic phase. Like how all the creepypastas for a while were like, oh, photorealistic blood or photorealistic gore or whatever.
I see.
It's pretty much just kind of like that part of it. So yeah, it is getting more influx, so naturally like quality goes down in some places, but I still think there's good examples of it, you know.
Oh, sure.
Like the Oldest View is still coming out. That's one of the best of all time in my opinion. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Over the past few days, there has been numerous gruesome murder reports. One of the victims was the elementary school teacher, Isabel Jackson. Isabel called 911 in the midst of her attack. However, the address she provided led to the police to a completely different crime scene. The address belonged to a family of 3, Janice, Paul, and their son, Zeke. Which before, in the last video, there was the headless Zeke thing, whatever. Hide and go Zeke, or whatever the fuck that painting was called, so...
Yep. And Breathless Janice.
They were expecting a daughter in just a few months. I like how he photoshopped this guy's face on this. It's like every guy is bald. I don't know if you've noticed that. Every single man is bald in this series. It's pretty funny.
That's the 2 genders, Hunter. Woman and bald. That's all we got.
Right outside their home, police found a bloodied garden shear. Woman and bald. What awaited the police inside the house was so shocking and repulsive that one of their officers requested a period of leave from duty the very next day. Janice and Paul's bodies were found in the kitchen, both ruthlessly executed. The fetus had violently been cut out from Janice's stomach. Janice was then strangled to death with an umbilical cord.
So creative.
Sick.
Never heard of that one. People being
Paul was
strangled
found
with their own
dead a few
organs.
feet away from Janice, tied to the kitchen counter, with his mouth sewed shut. The fetus was found in pieces scattered all around the house. So I'm guessing that was the jigsaw baby
Jigsaw
thing.
baby, yeah.
During the autopsy, they found the head of the fetus shoved down Paul's throat. He died from asphyxiation, choking on his own unborn daughter.
That's like, oh, wow.
That's very sick. Zeke is still missing.
Well, we know he's headless when we do find him.
Well, I'm guessing that the garden shears did that. Inside the house, there was also a painting. Its title had been painted over except for the word, Pipes.
Because they still never found that dude in the pipes, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that's where Zeke is. He's also shoved in the pipes.
Police later managed to track down the real address of Isabel Jackson, though they were too late.
Yeah, so Isabel calls the police and then gives another address for some reason, and it's never explained why.
Well, I'm wondering if it's the person, if it's the murderer, because the murderer looks like a woman too, so I'm wondering if they did like a little fucking like Joker Harvey Dent versus Rachel thing, whatever. I'll give you 2 addresses. And he goes in, he's like,
well, Isabel was murdered in her home, so why would she give another address?
Well, I'm saying that I think the killer is the person that called the cops.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
The headless body of Bruce Jackson was found right by the open door. He had been stabbed in the chest 7 times. 200 stab wounds, good album. Where one would expect to find his head, a painting lay in its stead. It was titled Infinite Mall Bruce, which we saw that in the thumbnail. Isabel was found murdered inside the bathroom. The lock to the door had been completely destroyed by a hammer drill. Isabel suffered multiple skull fractures, and a hole was drilled directly through her frontal lobe. Like, why? A rolled-up note had been put inside of the hole.
It's like a message in a bottle.
Message in a bottle. I'm sending a SOS
I like
to
how
the
you're I like how you're asking why now. Like you said
Well,
why about getting drilled
I
through
think
the
it's
forehead,
just,
right?
I think it's just accumulated. It's just been an
Yeah.
accumulation. It's
You've
like sinking in now.
You've had enough.
Well, I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, like it's like little vignettes of like, if this was the first one I saw, I could be like, oh, okay, cool. Like that is creepy or weird. But now whenever I'm like, it is interesting. I just want more to the story. Like I just want you to give me more.
Yeah, we're still no story development has happened. It's still just like.
Well, yeah, there's nothing,
a dead person.
not a single thing. I mean, I guess here,
yeah.
I live where I can't breathe, and I eat without teeth. What am I? A baby.
A baby, either a baby, like a fetus,
a fetus.
Or a whale.
Or a whale.
Well, yeah, because Isabel was called Blowhole Isabel when they drill through her forehead. So, yeah.
A pivotal clue emerged at the crime scene, unraveling new possibilities in the investigation. The presence of the two sets of footprints in the blood suggests that there was more than one culprit. Police now fully believe that whoever is behind these paintings and murders does not work alone. As for why Isabel gave the address leading to another murder scene is still a mystery.
Hold on, hit pause real quick. Okay, did you catch that? There are two killers.
Yeah.
Okay. If I was murdered and drew a 2 on the wall...
Drew a 2 on the wall.
What would that mean?
I guess he's saying that there was 2 people that
there
did it.
were 2 people that did it. There are 2 culprits. You're not looking for 1, you're looking for 2. There are 2 kill. If I only had enough time to draw a number and it was 2, that probably means 2 people killed me to look for 2.
I would have never registered that.
I could see that.
2 was his favorite number, is what I would say.
I could see it. It's
watched
not. My favorite number is
immediately.
probably like 7 or something. Yeah, you would the killers somehow don't see the 2. Like in my dying moments, I took care to hide it so they couldn't see it. And you're like, gross. And you just throw bleach at it.
Yeah. Classic Isaiah with his numbers. I'd throw it on there and I would clean up the carpet and I'd resell the home. I'd flip it. Make a big profit.
You take the house from my grieving wife. you're like this is part of the deal. Part of the deal.
Isabel's 911 call stands as one of the most disturbing calls ever recorded.
That's the police station
throws up my theory
says.
of like, why would Isabel do that? Maybe it's like mind control or something. I don't know. Well, I guess she drilled into her head. Maybe she was like fucking, like, I don't know, brain dead. Oh my God, yes. We could finally get a recording.
What's your emergency? Okay, now, what's the address? I think they killed my husband. Oh, okay, the police are on their way. Do you have somewhere to hide? I locked myself in the bathroom. Okay, good. Do you know they're there? Yes, please. Okay, ma'am, the police are on their way. I need you to stay calm for me, okay? What's your name? Isabel Jackson. Okay, Isabel, do you have anything to defend yourself with? Oh my God, they're gonna get it. The what? Isabel, do you have anything to defend yourself with? Okay, listen, stay calm. Are there any windows in your bathroom? Hello? Isabel?
She didn't even give the address, so my theory still stands.
No, hold on. She does give it there. It's just blurred out.
Oh, she does. Okay, that's right.
During the phone call. Yeah.
This is terrible.
In my opinion, that phone call's the greatest like section of, not counting the paintings, is the greatest section of the series. Like her screaming and then the noise of like the drill going into her head. Yeah, that to me that's like the highest elevated part. I wish we had more stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense why she gave another address or anything like that, but I do like that vignette.
I'm excited here because the last video is titled Meat, and that is...
Hey, that's you. Look at you, buddy. He made one just for you. You can pretend like it's you in this scenario.
Where's the...
It doesn't exist. You're not allowed to watch
it.
This one! This one gives us the content warning. Okay. All right.
When Dr. Fred Baker failed to appear for work, the police conducted a wellness check, only to discover him murdered in his own home. According to the neighbors, A dog could be heard barking from inside the house. The night before they discovered Fred's body. The night before the discovery of Fred's body. Fred was known to live alone with his cat. He never had a dog. As the police entered Fred's house through the breached back door, they were met with a disturbing scene. Like every one of these videos. Evidence of a struggle was discovered in the kitchen.
Like every one of these videos.
Here the police would also find a copious amount of sildenafil.
Sildenafil, yeah.
It is believed that Fred had been stealing medication from his workplace for quite some time. Fred was lying in his bed with no skin on his head. Okay.
As you do.
Going bald. The bedroom floor was littered with used sandpapers. Oh my god, no way. No, wait a sec.
No, please stop, come back.
Neither the cat nor any signs of dog could be detected. However, a gruesome painting was found hidden under the bed. Graphic painting seems to depict Fred's cat. This is painting in its foreboding title.
Foreboding's a word for it, alright.
Pocket pussy. Got a big ass hole in the back. Did he fuck the cat?
Yeah, that's the implication.
Nice.
Sildenafil is like a Viagra, basically.
Nice.
The same
George
thing the horse had.
Nice, because the horse. Yep.
Again,
the neighbors reported hearing barking of the night of the attack. The extent of damage in the body made post-mortem identification nearly impossible. In-shape man right there. Similar to other recent murders, George's face had been cut off.
Bum, bum, bum.
200 stab wounds? Damn it. He had approximately 487 stab wounds across his whole body. Fuck.
But that's not all.
A lot in his cock area.
Lot, yep. Whole lot.
4 of the wounds contained traces of seminal fluid. He cut some holes and fucked him. And it came all inside of him.
Isn't that awful? Isn't that brutal?
He was super infected. During autopsy, several photographs were found inside the body of George White.
They shoved him in the holes, I guess.
One of the photos was found tucked inside the heart. The second was discovered within the intestines. Like, are they using like a tube camera to like take these photos? The last photo was found crumpled up inside the pelvis. Despite the extensive damage to the photos, police were able to successfully restore them.
You good there, Doc?
Here are the photos.
So these are photographs.
I bet you they're paintings.
I bet they're photos. That's clearly a photo.
Whoa.
So it's clearly a photograph.
Whoa.
That's clearly a photograph.
Whoa.
Why else would they be black and white, Hunter?
Whoa. If you know any of these people, please contact 985-455-9560. I'm guessing if you call the number, it like leads to some hotline thing or whatever.
I actually think it didn't, but it might. I could try it.
Last night, police dispatcher Sarah Stone and her husband Michael were abducted from their residence.
Well, let's hope they're okay. Yeah, there's a lot of police stuff.
The building's basement hatch had been destroyed from the inside, though the entry had been through the front door. Fortunately, Sarah had a security camera installed at her front porch.
More photos.
The camera footage captures the murders of entering the house of Sarah and Michael Stone, ultimately providing the most damning evidence yet. Okay, here we go. We got evidence. What you're about to witness is a glimpse at the most violent killers in American history. Yep, this is what was. Yeah, got it. Let's show it. Guessing this is 3D. Looks pretty good. There's a jump scare. I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. No. Yep. Boo. Oof. That really was most damning evidence I've ever seen.
That was quite damning, if I do say so myself, I think.
Wow.
And there's some there's pieces of it trying to tell a story, like the police officers being the primary targets, and then there's the that mention at the beginning with the guy who was made to do that to his cat, be disturbed or whatever. There's the mention of the guy was stealing drugs from his place of work, so it's like, okay, is that just a throwaway detail, or maybe he was helping the killers get their drugs? Because the killers use drugs a lot, like chloroform and like the sildenafil and stuff like that. So is that trying to imply that maybe the killers knew him or something? Or is that just like a throwaway detail? I don't know. It's hard to tell because there's no description. There's no like long-term stuff given to them. Other than the fact that there's two. That's the only development we've had for sure. But I mean, that's been hinted since like the 3rd episode. Urban has also said that his long-term goal is to make a total of 10 episodes, and we're on 8. So unless those plans change or the last 2 are really long, I don't see where a lot of story could be added, because the first 8 episodes of the series are just, isn't this weird? Isn't this creepy? You know?
So people hate this. I mean, I'm looking at the
they
comments
despise.
people...
They despise it. Ever since the whole 11-year-old Corey thing, toy Corey or whatever. He has been crucified online for because people are pretty, serious about that kind of thing, especially when it's added in kind of willy-nilly. Honestly, to me, it's not so much like inappropriate or like offensive as much as it is silly, because it goes over the crest of being offensive into just like juvenile, into just like what a kid would tell me at a playground to freak me out. Like
very
I can't,
Jeff the Killer energy.
Yeah. It's hard for me to get mad at it because it's so
there's nothing,
over the top.
Nothing that really depicts it as being real. Like even like the paintings and stuff are good, but even the thing at the end where it's like just animation of the people coming in, whatever, but they're a completely different shade as like the footage or whatever, which is just nitpicking, but it's just like, I'm not perceiving any of this as being trying to be like a found footage kind of thing. I think it's like the biggest detriment to this is the introduction of these photos, but they're just painted. Just doesn't feel good.
And also, like, by the time you get to the end and there's like the thing with the cat, which yes is like gross and disturbing or whatever, I've just seen so much that it's like, okay, sure. Why not? Why not?
Until this point, we've seen so much crazy shit where I'm like, well, yeah, okay, so if he fucks a cat. To me, I'm like, to me, it's like, it's not like I'm like, you can't do that. It's It's just there's been so much stuff to where now it's just like it'd be odd if he didn't fuck the cat. Why didn't he fuck the cat?
There's a lot of people who see the series from the outside in, and they hear details about that, like about the cat or about Corey, and they're like really mad about it, which is understandable. But everyone I've seen who actually watches through the series is just bored by it. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
the horse killed her with internal bleeding. Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah, it's a person who has thought of a bunch of like very disturbing ways for people to die, but has no conjointed way of like making it a cohesive experience besides having the killer paint the pictures. Is the strongest part. The first episode is very strong of being able to show and we get introduced to this kind of painting killer, which is fun. Once again, there's just no rhyme or reason to it though, besides just like the evils of the world, which doesn't work. Because even when it's just nonsensical violence, even that has a point of being contingent, and it usually only works in a very short-sighted kind of approach, or like a movie, like The Strangers does that. The Strangers is just people that are violent for the sakes of being violent, all because someone was home. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, like that. You could use that, but I think this just does not. It just doesn't work, and it's just boring. It becomes tedious, because then it becomes formulaic in a way where like even I start to feel about like whenever I make things, whenever you're just like, well, fuck, I feel like I've just done this, but it doesn't ever like, I don't know, learn from that. It just kind of keeps approaching these things in the exact same way, with it being a new disturbing act of killing, which, you know, It's hard. It's hard to think of these new things or new approaches, but I think the biggest detriment to this is that you probably could have had all these same serial killer vibes or all of these disturbing, albeit edgy, depictions of violence. If there was a cohesive story behind it, I honestly don't think that there would be much to criticize, is what I would say.
Yeah, and plus there's just like, so the Urban Spook also gets a ton of hate because how he responds to people online. Like Postra originally made a comment about how like the series is shock value for shock value and doesn't like it, and like Urban kind of lashed out and was like, I believe he described Postra as autistic furry horror, and was like, just because it doesn't appeal to your all stupid little analog horror stuff doesn't mean it's not cool or whatever. And then Urban since apologized for that, but there's several instances of people kind of like, you know, bad mouthing him and he lashes out, or he's like edgy in response. Like he'll tweet like just edgy, like dark stuff to be like, be disturbed type, you know. When I made my video and talked about him, he was nice to me, but he said in the comment it's because he's, well, he didn't say it was why he's nice, but he said he watched me for a really long time. So I think that's why he was nice to me, but it seems to other people he's very just like aggressive, you know, like
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day too, I mean, it's like it's the same criticism with like a long legs kind of thing. There's a subjective take to everything. People could really love urban spooks. I think it's just worth being, I think no matter what, you're gonna have people who hate your shit. People hate my stuff. It is what it is, you know. I just make the stuff because I like making it. I do think that there are valid forms of criticism in there, though, to where I feel like I've taken some of the negative comments and I've tried to put it towards my work, regardless of whether people think that's successful or not. I think it's something actively that's like the part of like, I mean, being an artist is just I mean, you have to evolve, you have to grow, and I think like you can't just be like, well, it works for me, that's all that matters. I think that's like a very closed-minded way of doing it. And the best thing about this too is that he could literally just start the narrative now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could tie things, you know, it could make the whole thing where people are like, oh yeah, I actually kind of like he took it in this direction. I liked it. It's just a detriment of, it's the whole thing of like, what is it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result or whatever. That's how this feels, of like trying to maybe convince people that this is something more than just an edgy, like, isn't this fucked up? Which also, if you just like that too, own it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like he said, I think he had a tweet that said something like, if you view the painter which is what he calls the series, if you view the painter as anything else than a series of Mortal Kombat fatalities, you're watching it wrong. Which, sure, if you don't want to have a story, if you just want it to be like a bunch of blood and gore and stuff like that, fine, you know, do whatever you want.
I think if that's the case then too, I would almost just be like, I wish it was a different person each time.
Yeah.
Like it was a different morbid kind of thing each time. Because when you introduce a character, and especially a long-standing character with multiple series and stuff, regardless, you establish a relationship with that character, regardless if the people like it or not. People establish a relationship with this character and want motives and stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's just not satisfying from a creative place. Even in Mortal Kombat, you know, the whole thing of it being just a brief moment of like some guy getting his fucking skull ripped out or whatever. Each one of those characters does have some kind of backstory, regardless if it's important or not to the fatality. That doesn't matter. But the idea is that people, you know, why people like the fatalities, because it looks cool, but also because they like the characters. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just a little mixture. I mean,
there's reasons that's interesting and stuff. And again, like Urban Spook the painter has potential. The idea of like we talked about at the beginning, a killer who paints his victims, like that's cool. But if it's not going to go anywhere, and if it's just a mixture of paintings and quote unquote photos of victims, instead of like building a story off of that, then I mean, like, good for you. Like I said, make whatever you want, but I'm really not interested, you know?
Yeah. Well, you can't expect people to care, and you can only expect people to dogpile onto, and it's easy to dogpile is the problem too. If the biggest evolution is that you're like, I've only been doing the Mortal Kombat finish him kind of moves. What if I like kind of step back from that and I tried to approach it in this way? And I think that you would see a lot more appreciation for it. And I think that honestly you would get more out of creating these things too. And that doesn't mean you have to abandon that, but I think introduce elements that can make this painter character a fun piece of internet history or whatever. But as of right now, it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I think it's just
right now
feels
it's just shock value for shock value's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it just feels a bit cheap is all.
Yeah.
But I really do want to repreface though. Love a lot of the illustrations and the paintings.
Yeah, the paintings look great. I've always
Fantastic.
said they're the best part of it, and I
think
do
the
like them
introduction
a lot.
to this character is really fun. I think I'm more just so disappointed that it goes absolutely nowhere. A lot of great elements though in it. I mean, you could tell the person has Urban Spooks has an eye for a lot of these like horror vignettes and these kind of like these horrifying depictions and illustrations and stuff, and he's very talented in that way, or they're very talented in that way. So I don't know, that'd be the biggest thing is start introducing a narrative to it, like really like actually flesh out who this character is, or even if you like, I don't know, I mean, like start something new or do something else that like and start from that place or whatever, if you feel like if people are just going to dogpile on it, because now it seems like from what it just like scrolling through YouTube and seeing some of like every video is just like, this is terrible, which I mean is like, I don't know how productive that is, but
I think a lot of that comes from how aggressive Urban Spook is to criticism he doesn't like, because like, yeah, even if I want to approach it like, okay, well, I like the paintings and I like some elements, I think it could go here, and then I see someone else says the same thing and he's like, you're just an autistic furry loser. It's like, okay, well, now I don't want to, like,
yeah, well, that's what to say is like now under this handle, you might have people who never will appreciate.
Exactly,
like people will never move past that to watch it earnestly. You might have people who are just like adamant for you just to fuck off,
I mean, honestly, it's the same thing, not just for like horror, but anyone in content creation spaces online. Anytime you say something, especially something negative to another person, you have to ask yourself, is the baggage worth the point, right? Like, if I make this statement or say this thing to someone else just because I want to, is that worth the hampering I'm putting onto my creation, my channel, whatever? Because now some people are going to have to look through that to get to me. And is that worth it? And if you do stuff like attack other beloved YouTubers just because they say they don't like your stuff, well, I mean, like you said, his name's forever associated with that now. And there's going to be a lot of people who won't watch him based on that alone.
Yeah, there's going to be people who just don't like your shit. That's just also, this is just a food for thought for anybody who's like making their own stuff and maybe feels like they don't want the criticism. You'll never be able to please everybody. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely impossible. Especially when you get to a point whenever you're like really popular or whatever, people will just love to hate it because it's beneath them and all that kind of stuff. And probably for, I think a lot of times too, people have valid criticisms of why they don't like your stuff, and that's fine. It's impossible to make a just fully perfect product. It's impossible.
And even if they don't have valid criticisms, you're going to have people who just hate you just for the sake of hating you sometimes, right? And if you try to please everyone, you will lose your mind.
You'll go insane.
Yeah. At some point, you have to make what you like, stick with it. Yeah. I think every creator does. There's like this, especially because like people talk about it a lot. You see all of the hate you get, and you remember it more than the praise you get, because all of those like corrections, they stick with you. And the next time you go to make something, they're in the back of your head. And especially starting off, it's hard to not let that influence what you do. And sometimes criticism is a good thing, right? There's productive criticism, like maybe fix this with your audio, change this, try to approach your topics this way, whatever. But if someone's just like, I don't like your voice, or I don't like your face, or something like that, well, you can't do anything about that. Right?
Yeah.
Like, or
even if it's just a thing where you're just like, well, I like making this. You don't have to just bow to every single thing somebody says. But I think, it's an impossible thing. I think also too, the negativity. I think that people are usually just generally insecure about things. So then when people bring up these negative comments, they ring more true than the people that are giving you praise. You know what I mean? Because
you're already in the back of your head your own worst critic. So other
you've
critics
seen
just
the video a billion times. It's just. Yeah, it is what it is. But all in all, I'm glad I had no idea about this until since we last recorded and we talked about it briefly. So I'm glad that it's one of those things where I'm glad I at least know I'm in the loop of what's going on. And at the end of the day, I like any of these art prints. These would be fucking sick. I think Ian the Pig would be an insane art print to have. That'd be sick in a frame. So just want to say the illustrations are dope. And that's my 2 cents. And damn, I can't believe it's already been 2 hours. This flew by. This was a fun recording.
It was a fun recording. I enjoy it. And again, I hope like Urban Spook does great art. I hope to see him do something with it. But for me, it's going to take more than just a bunch of random and disturbing, quote unquote, disturbing images or whatever. But he's got great art skills. I'd like to see that applied somewhere that is fitting of that in the future.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about art, man.
And ideally leave out the use of 11-year-old children. Because that is kind of gross.
Yeah, that's a big way to, completely ostracize yourself from other audiences. Pretty sure I had a stroke saying that word.
Again, it's baggage. You have to find out if it's worth it or not. I don't think it was in this case, but that's just me.
It's delicate, very, very delicate narrative material that's very hard to navigate through. So I wish you luck. But that's once again, as like another just last piece of thing I want to say is that's the beautiful thing about art is nothing is finite. Like you can grow and become a better artist. Yeah. And people are always going to want to see good things. So I don't know. I guess don't feel pigeonholed by any of the criticisms or any of the perceptions you have now. And also too, turn off your notifications if that's the way that you respond to shit. Just don't even look at it.
Yeah, just don't look at it. Yeah, not a good time. And again, I want to emphasize he since apologized for like what he said to Posture and stuff like that. But it's just the fact that that's kind of his like initial approach to it. It's like not a great look.
But all in all, just want to say, hope you guys enjoyed the episode today. Also, this is probably with anything that we do. I feel like we don't say this enough, or we maybe should say it more. Is don't send any hate to these people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you don't like something,
that goes without saying.
If you don't like something, you can once again say something, I guess, constructive, or just not say anything at all and just like ignore it. I think that like just berating someone isn't going to help the situation. So I'm glad I watched it though. This is a fun creep TV. I think in the future too, we're going to be trying to watch some like television type shows. I'd like to watch Channel Zero with you and talk about that.
I think that'd be a good time.
Yeah. Because that's also all about like Candle Cove, and I think it's about a couple different creepypastas.
I think each season is based around a different creepypasta, basically. And I know they did stuff like they incorporated some elements of I'm a search and rescue officer, the Stairs in the Woods story.
Oh, okay.
And stuff like in like season 4 or something like that. So I think each season takes influence from different creepypastas, but I have heard very mixed opinions online at how it goes about doing that. So I'm interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I've heard the same. So I'd be curious to, especially because I think Candle Cove is like a very short read. So I'd like to read that and then just compare it and see how did they, because obviously they're going to take the core idea of it and then just stretch it for probably like 8 hours worth of content.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see how they did that. But until next time, y'all, we will I guess we'll just see you in the next one. Stay creepy, stay spooked.
Stay creepily spooked. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support on everything. It means the world. See you later.